Hello YouTube, welcome to Chevron B of my Summer Direction Cal. This is the Mosaic Crochet version. Overlay Mosaic has these tails on the start and end of every row because you're joining and cutting. So that's how you can tell. The back, of course, for mine is all striped. They're just boring on the back. You can do fancy things if you like, but this tutorial does not include that. In fact, I wouldn't consider this a tutorial at all. If you're new to the technique, you need to go check out some other videos because this one is going to be jumping right into the pattern. We are following the pattern and we're working through it together. So if you need to learn how to actually do the stitches, you need to check out a different video. We are, like I said before, we're on Chevron B. And the reason there's a difference between Chevron A and Chevron B, you can see these are Chevron A and this one's Chevron A. And if you did your repeats, you're going to have a nice little up and down, up and down, up and down. This one's Chevron B because instead of starting down and then up, it's going to go up and then down. And then other than that, it's basically exactly the same. Not overly exciting. However, it does make for a fun pattern when you look at the whole. And I'm just going to get my coordinating color here. I'm using the dark purple as my main color, and this is my coordinating color, the light blue. This is row 0 at the bottom, so all my dark purples, they are even numbers, and all the light blue are odd number rows. Our Chevron B, if you have the pattern, you can go to my website. It's on there for free. You can also buy a PDF version of it, but free works too, so it's up to you. Of course, I do appreciate the sales. It's really nice when people buy my patterns, but I wanted to make it accessible to everyone. So this one is one of the free ones. Free YouTube videos, free pattern on the blog. You can still buy it if you'd like. And if you don't want to buy this one, buy something else. I mean, you have access to this one for free, buy something else. So that being said, this is row 59. I put my stitch markers every 20 rows. So they're on the dark purple. This would be 40, on 20, 40, then 42, 4, 6, 8, 52, 4, 6, 8, which means I'm going to be doing row 59. And my piece, I'm just going to kind of get it shorter so that I can keep it in the video. I hope it's getting a little bit unruly with it being long, but we can do it. Let's get started. We put a slip knot on. I'm going to find that hole. It's right on the edge here. That's my joining stitch. You're familiar with this if you've done these. You can do a different kind of joining stitch if you like. Some people don't like the knot on there. That's how I first started doing it, but I like the knot now. So then we're going to do single crochet 1. Of course, it's in the back loop. And a double crochet 1, which is actually a dropped double crochet 2 rows below using the front loop. Then we're going to do 2 more single crochets. Of course, you remember we have to skip that loop in the back. We're not adding stitches. When we do a dropped double crochet, we skip the stitch up here instead so that we're not adding stitches. We have the same stitch count. And if you remember from before, we do have the asterisk telling us this is where you start your repeat. If you're doing a blanket, you'll have 9 repeats. Doing something in between, I'm doing 1. I don't know how many repeats you're doing, but this row, the next row, you don't have to do a whole lot of counting. They're all just single crochet in the back. You can count them if you want, especially if you're not sure about missing stitches and you want to double check things for yourself. I don't really bother counting. I know that when I'm doing these kind of rows, that all I'm doing is single crochet in the back loop only, all the way across, except for these very exciting border of dark, light, dark, and dark, light, dark, plus our joining in our end stitch. I just pay attention to those visual cues to tell me when it's time to stop doing my single crochet in the back loop. If you want to count them, of course the stitch count is on there. You can count 18, not including the 2 that you did before the star and the 1 that you're doing after the star. We're just going to go all the way across, and I will pay attention here. This is my dark one. Of course, you can't do a drop down. There's nowhere for it to go, right? So you know that this one's a single crochet. And in order to keep that line straight, we're going to put a double crochet in the light blue. And then a single crochet in the purple border. and then our end stitch. Don't miss the end stitch because then you'll run out of space for your next row. And of course we cut it. I know some people get scared of the cutting. They think that that's too final. They think it's a waste of yarn with all this tassel-y fringe. And there's lots of reasons that people don't like the technique. I was scared of it at first, but it's okay now. Row 60, we're using our main color, but essentially the row is the same. The difference is just that these border rows, instead of putting the dropped for the blue, we're going to put 2 dropped ones on the purple. Not too hard right now. Just gonna put them in there, and then we'll do a single crochet all the way across again. It creates a little bit of a stripe, gives it space between the 2 designs. I was trying to think of something exciting I could tell you while I'm crocheting here, but I haven't really done that much exciting things lately. I've been trying to get these videos out, which when I release them, it's going to be probably a little bit of time between each release. I'm not really sure yet. I feel a little bit unsure of how I'm going to make this all work, but mostly I've just been trying to get things done. So you can see I just used the visual cue. I know that the line needs to be dark purple, then a light one, and then a dark one. And of course, our end stitch. So we are now on row 61, which actually has some details in the pattern as opposed to just all these stripes. So we're going to actually pay attention this time. I am going to put my joining stitch in here and do my border, which is single, double, and then 2 more singles before that star. If you're using stitch markers, that's where you'll put your stitch marker. I am using stitch markers to keep count of my rows on the side. You can do it every 10 rows, 20 rows, none rows. I don't know how you like to do it. I like to wait until I've started row 21 or 41 or 61 before I put this into 60, just because I find they get in the way, which also means that sometimes I forget because now I'm not on the row that I was trying to count, right? But usually I remember, and then if I pick up my piece again later, I know which row I'm on, right? So this is also where you'd put a stitch marker if you're trying to keep track of your repeats. I'm only doing 1 repeat, so I don't really bother with the stitch marker. But we're going to add another 3 single crochets, back loop only of course, and then 1 double. Remember that we're not using this loop, and we go down, and it kind of feels like it leans. So I know it can be tricky when there's no other reference points. And once you get to do these, the reference points are there because you know it's just going beside them. But here I think people do get a little lost. That's okay. And then don't forget to skip the one in behind. And we're going to do 11 single crochet across here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we're going to do 1 double crochet, drops down. Now it does technically line up with this one, but it might be too far away for you to really use that as a marker. Then we're going to put 2 more single crochets, and that would be the end of your repeat. So put your stitch marker, go back to the repeat section. We, of course, are already at the end of ours, so we're going to do 1 single, 1 double, another single. Oh, my yarn is a bit splitty. There we go. And an end stitch right there. And my tails are wild, like they are not even. I get some that are long and some that are short. I think I could be more careful about that if I was concerned about running out of yarn or something, but I have tons of this yarn. I bought it on clearance. There's a reason it was on clearance. It's not the greatest yarn, but it's pretty, and that's what I need for a video, is something that looks eye-catching. And it actually isn't too scratchy, it just is hard to work with. It's very stretchy. Feels like plastic. It's acrylic. So we're on 62. Did our joining stitch. The brackets tell us double crochet 1, single crochet 1 times 2. And of course, if you've seen my other videos, you know that means we do double single, double single. Only twice, because that's how many it says, unlike the stars or asterisks. So that's where you put your stitch marker. Now we're going to do 2 single crochets and a double right before that light blue one. Then we're going to do 13. And if I was cool, I could count in like a different language. That would really mess up the closed captioning probably, hey? If it says English closed captioning and then I start 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I don't think I know any other languages, 1, 2, 3. Now you can count if you want to, but I tend to use the visual cue, which is I think why people like using the charts, that they don't have to count as much. They just know that once I get to that light blue one, I'm going to put one on the outer edge, and that'll be the count. And you can see it's actually mirroring here. So you don't actually, if you are clever enough, which I'm not usually, you don't actually have to read the pattern. You can just follow here and you know that the next row, you're going to be making it look just like this, only upside down. So we did our 13, then a double crochet, then a single crochet, and then that's our star. So you'd be repeating if you need to. I'm at the end, so I'm going to do double single, double end. That's my very exciting border design of 3 straight lines. And when you're done this, if you're putting an envelope border on it, these straight lines do help you find where to put things, because it's easy to see where you would put the envelope border. But other than that, they're just my way of making the pattern. Now the chevrons are quite small sections, unlike the dark arrows that we just finished, right? The dark arrows takes up this much space. The chevron is about half. So we'll be almost done this section already. It goes so quick. Oh dear, I'll miss you all. Send me messages. Tell me how much you're enjoying this. Tell me that this was worth my effort, please. This is row 63. We did our joining stitch, single, double, and then the brackets tell us to do it again. Single, double. Put your stitch marker here, put another single, double, and then 3 singles. 1, 2, 3, then 1 double. And if you're paying attention to those visual cues, this double here, we're not using that, and we're not using the loop next to it. We're picking the next one, okay? I'm not sure if that helps you, but I try to do things that might help. And then pay attention at the back. This one is being used, so that's the one we're skipping. And then this is the next one. We're going to do 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we drop 1 double, and again it's the same as on the other side. There's 1 unused loop between this double crochet and this double crochet, if that helps. And we're going to put 1, 2, 3, and we do 1 more double crochet, and that's the end of the star. So you're going to do your repeats and keep going and going and going. And then when you get to the end, it's just a single, double, single, and an end stitch. And now, of course, row 64 means we're using our main color, our darker one, and it doesn't really matter for this pattern, dark and light, as long as they're good contrasting colors. Do our joining stitch, and then we're going to do like the brackets, double single, 1 and There we go, 2. And that's our star, so it's where you put your stitch marker. We're going to add another 4 single crochets here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our drop double crochet is going beside that light blue one. Then we're doing 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Drop a double crochet on the outer edge of that light blue one again. And 3 single crochets before we reach the end of our star. Whoopsies, I missed it. Let me try again. This is where you do your repeats. I'm going to put the end border is double, single, double, and just like every other row. Oops. We're at row 65. Joining stitch, single, double, single, 2, just like all the other ones. You get very familiar with that, right? And then our star, so this is where repeat is going to be 3 singles and then a double. We're going to do it 4 times. Okay, so you might need more stitch markers if you're having a hard time counting them. That was my 3. And a dropped one goes on the outer edge of that purple. Then we go 1, 2, 3. This is another drop down, and you can see the pattern happening, right? It goes up, it skips a loop, up, skips a loop. Then we're going to do 3 again, and it's following the same gaps, I suppose, on the other side. So here's the double crochet. We're not using that loop. We're skipping a loop, and we're using that loop here. And do 3 more again. 1, 2, 3. Your double crochet goes on the outer edge of that purple one. And then that's the end of the brackets. So there's 2 more single crochets before you do your repeats again. And of course, now we're at the end, so we're going to put another single crochet, and then a double, and then a single and an end. It goes fast when there's only 1 repeat. But I am excited to see this in full blanket size. Dad's downstairs playing with the kids. They're very noisy. I hope you can't hear it on the video. I am using a little microphone with the ear headphones and everything, but they might be noisy enough that you can hear them. Okay, row 66, joining stitch. Our brackets tell us double, single, double, single. And then that star to tell us where the repeats are. We're going to do 6 more double crochet, or sorry, single crochet across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to have a double crochet. It's right beside that blue one. And we'll put 5 single crochets until we get to the other double crochet, the other blue one. 3, 4, 5. So we're going to drop it down on the outer edge again. Oops, my yarn is splitting. And then it says, because we're still in the brackets, we're going to do 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the end of the star. So now you go to the beginning and do another 6. When you get to the end, our very fancy border, double, single, double, end.
I'm angry. Because I don't want to paint on.
Row 67, using our contrasting color, do our joining stitch. Then we have single, double, single, two. Then our star that breaks up our instructions. So we're going to add another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The bracket's telling us to do 1 double crochet and 3 singles. We're going to do that twice. So here's the first one. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to drop it down. It goes right in between. It's the tippy top of our tower that we're making. And then we go 1, 2, 3. And then it also says next is 1 double crochet with 4 singles before you are ending your repeat. 2, 3, 4. And of course, when you get to the end, keep those lines. So we go single, double, single, and the end. And you remember that the end stitch goes under both the loops, just like a normal single crochet, as opposed to all these ones that have been back loop only. Row 68, we're getting near the end. It goes real quick for these ones. Joining stitch. Brackets tell us double, single. Just do it twice before you put your stitch marker to keep track of your repeats. And we're going to add another 8 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The double crochet goes right on the side of that blue. We're going to put 1 single and then we're going to put another double on the other side of that blue. And then there's only 7 on this side, so we go 7 single crochets. I try to remember that some people might not be listening and some people might not be watching. Some people are just using visual. Some people are just using my voice. So I try to remember, but I don't think it's perfect. Sorry. So 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and we're going to get to 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. That's where your star is interrupting, because now you're going to do 8 again and keep going. When you get to the end, our fancy border, double single, double end. You've got that memorized, I think. I sure do. And some people do crochet over those. I just pull them out of the way. Row 69, we're nearly done. We're going to do a joining stitch. We're going to put 1 single, 1 double, and 2 singles, just like pretty much every other row we've done. There have been a few that haven't been that, but almost all of them have that. Then our star tells us to do 7 more single crochets at the beginning of this repeat. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 double crochet is going on the outer edge of that purple. 3 single crochets right on top of the purple line. You can see it's making like a little tower. I don't know what to call it, a chevron. I call it a chevron. Then we're going to do 1 dropped on the outer edge of that purple again. And then there's 6 single crochets on this edge, so we'll keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's the end of our star. My border lines go single, double, single, and stitch. Row 70, it's our last row in this section of our Chevron B. the one that goes up and then down as opposed to chevron A. If I had thought about them, this one more looks like an A, so maybe I should have done that. But really it was like the first chevron that I used. I don't know if it matters if you're gonna be so frustrated at my pattern because my chevrons are named strangely, but that is just the way it is. Joining stitch, then double single, and the rest of the row is all single crochet. So you don't really have to count this one again. You can if you like. If I wasn't talking, I probably would, just because I don't know, it just seems like what you should do. If you have stitches that need to be counted, you should count them. If I had a blanket and I was trying to count to 5 million, I probably wouldn't, but obviously I'm not 5 million. I'm just exaggerating. My daughter, who is 6, she's very literal. So she'll often be telling us something funny like, I'm a unicorn that fly. I'm just pretending, Mom. You know that, right? Yes, I do. I am quite aware that you're not actually a unicorn that can fly. But she is very literal, and she reminds us quite often that she's just joking. And then she'll also double check when we say things that you would think are obviously not a literal meaning, but she needs reminders, so it's kind of a funny joke in our house. So we're near the end of the border stitches. I haven't been counting, but I can see that this is my straight purple row. I can't use that blue one, so I have to make sure I use this one here. You can count them if you're not sure where to find those visual cues. Double, single, double, and stitch. And that's the whole section. That was not so hard, right? It's pretty quick. Well, with one repeat anyways. Our next section up here is going to be called light arrows, and it looks like this, only instead of being filled in, the inside's going to be blue. So hope you like it so far. Summer direction crochet along, and that's it from me. Ciao.